Hello everyone, welcome to ixamBee. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Chetan Choraria, who has secured an All India rank of 3 in the recent SEBI Grade A exam that was conducted in 2022. So many congratulations, Chetan, for becoming a SEBI Grade A officer.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And
Thank
I
you.
think this was your first attempt at
Right,
SEBI,
right.
and you have cracked it and got a very, very good rank. So let me give a brief about Chetan, a very short brief, and then we'll hear very interesting story from Chetan himself. So Chetan is a qualified CA, and he also cleared all the 3 levels for CFA in 2017. After clearing both his prestigious degrees, he started a venture, a training institute to help further the knowledge of that he attained as a CA and CFA in the field of accounts and taxation. So he co-founded a venture for training for these particular subjects. Later on, he started preparing for government organizations also. And in his first attempt at SEBI, he has cleared it with a very, very good rank. So that's a very small brief about Chetan. And so I will like to hear it from Chetan himself. What made you, after doing CA, majority students I have heard, they either go with the big fours or start preparing for some government. So if they want to make a career in the private space, they go with the big fours, or if in the public space, they start preparing for so many various exams for which CAs are eligible. So you didn't take either of the routes. So what
Right.
motivated you to start your own venture?
Ma'am, to be honest, when I cleared my CA and CFA, I went for campus placement in CA in Mumbai because I knew that Mumbai is the financial capital. So I applied from Mumbai campus so that I would get a job in finance sector. But I couldn't get any job from the campus, and I applied off campus as well. I used the sources of my brother, but even he was not able to secure an interview for me at that point of time. So I was, I was very demotivated at that point of time, that why am I not getting any job? So I returned back to Kolkata, and then my brother asked me that, okay, we can start this venture, and we were preparing for CA. Simultaneously, we were preparing. So we were preparing in the same house. We used to live together, and we had a great bonding. So we decided, okay, we will start this venture. We had to bridge the education gap. So पर्पस ये था कि एक सीए को करने में आपको 5 साल लग जाते हैं कम से कम, एंड बिकॉज उस प्रोसेस में देयर इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि सब लोग सीए क्लियर कर भी पाए. देयर आर सो मेनी हु आर नॉट एबल टू क्लियर, एंड वी वांटेड कि अच्छा इतना लंबा प्रोसेस तो नहीं होना चाहिए कोई एक डिग्री पाने के लिए, एंड देन यू हैव टू अप्लाई फॉर अ जॉब. यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग अ लॉट ऑफ इयर्स इन दिस. सो हम लोग का एम था कि जो ट्रेनिंग हम लोग रखेंगे वो शॉर्ट रखेंगे, प्रैक्टिकल ओरिएंटेड रखेंगे, जॉब ओरिएंटेड रखेंगे, एंड इंडस्ट्री ओरिएंटेड रखेंगे, ताकि उन लोगों को हेल्प मिल सके जिनको इंस्टेंटली जॉब चाहिए आफ्टर ट्रेनिंग. तो वो 2 मंथ्स का ट्रेनिंग पीरियड रहता था, एंड देन वी यूज्ड टू प्लेस देम. प्लेसमेंट का भी गारंटी रहता था उसमें.
So it was like an upskilling thing or skilling thing that will help you get a job.
राइट. सो अकाउंट्स, टैक्सेशन एंड फाइनेंस के रिस्पेक्ट में जो इंडस्ट्री रिक्वायरमेंट्स थी, हम लोग के जो सीए में क्लाइंट्स भी बने थे, उनको भी रिक्वायरमेंट्स होती थी फॉर अकाउंटेंट्स. सो उन रिक्वायरमेंट्स को भी हम फुलफिल करते थे थ्रू आवर ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट.
So that's a very noble thing and a very good thing actually, because
Right.
as you said, bridging the gap. So what motivated you then to move and try for government jobs?
So government job was a never planned thing for me. I didn't even knew about this type of thing that it happens. Yes, I had heard about banking exams because one of my friend was giving at the time when I was doing CA, and but it was my father's dream to that his son should be in government, and he always used to say कि तेरा government job में लगेगा तेरा. अब कैसे लगेगा नहीं पता, but he used to say कि तेरा हो जाएगा, and I was like, I am not even interested in this stuff, government stuff. So when that breaking point came in my venture, when I was not able to contribute that much and I was in a lot of self doubt, that is when it got me thinking that since I want to do something in the capital markets, so let me see what options do I have. So first I went to the government sites, and I used the department of finance ministry, and then I learned about the various departments that they have. We have IES and stuff, all that I had researched, and I thought I was not eligible for any of that because I had not done in economics. So then I came to know about regulatory bodies, And then initially, when I started preparing for regulatory bodies, I was confused as to which institute should I go for. I compared ixamBee and various other institutes as well. And the reason for choosing ixamBee was that at that point of time, ixamBee was the only institute that was offering NABARD finance course. And further, I had also seen the content. It was very crisp and to the point, which I very much liked at that point of time. So I started with NABARD Finance, and Prachi ma'am, you know my journey very well because you have been there since the starting, since day one, when I was in a position that I didn't want to give the exam of NABARD Finance because the ARD portion was really troubling me. And you said कि नहीं यार एक बार दे के तो आओ, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा, नहीं होगा, but at least you should give that attempt. So that really motivated me, and मेरा prelims clear हुआ उसके बाद. But unfortunately NABARD में मेरा mains clear नहीं हो पाया. But again, the NABARD mains exam gave me a very good learning, which I applied in SEBI, that I was really well prepared for NABARD finance because वो finance मेरा mainstream था, and I had given all the mocks, and descriptive वाले सारे मैंने दिए थे. But the paper that came in NABARD finance was more towards the management orientation. Yes. Because of which I was in a shock when that paper came to me. And then that realization came that it's okay, it can be a shocker for you, and you have to absorb that. And if the paper is tough and unpredictable, it is for everyone, and you have to manage that, and the cutoff will be automatically low if such a paper comes. So yes, I couldn't clear the mains, but I gathered that learning from NABARD finance. Then I moved to PFRDA, and during PFRDA again, you were there to guide me. Plus, I would like to say that through ixamBee, I met one of my closest friends, Pankaj, who forced me to give the PFRDA exam because I was not willing to give that exam because सिर्फ एक ही seat था उसमें, and I was not sure कि वो feasible रहेगा. But he said कि since it is in line with SEBI syllabus, you should definitely give an attempt for the purposes of experience. And the PFRDA exam gave me a huge confidence push because I was able to clear the mains, and I went in the interview. And when the scorecard came out, I scored the highest in interview. Even though मेरा mains का marks थोड़ा कम था, that is the reason I couldn't make it to the finalist. But that gave me a huge confidence push, because of which I feel I had more confidence when I went into the SEBI exam.
Right. So you've given your entire journey, which very aptly you have put. And yes, I know your journey because we've been interacting since NABARD Finance, as you rightly mentioned. And yes, these are the small steps. So Chetan, I'm very proud to be bringing this success story today, and for various reasons that you have mentioned. One, how we learn, from whatever steps we take. So I wouldn't say failures, because failure is never definitive until unless you make it, right? So as you said, you kept learning. NABARD Finance gave you and confidence that first level I can clear, and this is now my forte, this is my area that I'm going to try in. But then we have to be okay with some uncertainties or some things that is not as predictable, and that is also a truth about competitive exams. So a holistic understanding and holistic preparation is very, very important. And in that case, the most important thing is keeping that confidence, keep moving ahead, keeping that confidence in oneself, and keep learning. So that gave you the base. I think that was your first attempt at any government exam.
Right.
And to be able to crack and reach the mains was commendable in itself, because that was NABARD Finance phase 1 has nothing to do with finance. So it's totally your aptitude, QRE, computer awareness, ARD, ESI that comes in phase 1. So it was, I'm sure, that gave you the confidence that you can at least make a career in the government space. As you rightly mentioned, PFRDA was a replica. Apart from the fact that they had pension sector also, everything else was exactly same as SEBI, and that is what we keep telling students also, that give that exam. Even if it is one seat, you can be the one who get that one seat. Nevertheless, the kind of learning and experience one gets in an actual exam can never be equivalent to any kind of or any number of mock tests you give.
Right.
So
Right.
that's a very good thing. And another very important point, another student very dear to me, Pankaj, as you mentioned, he's also been throughout
Right.
this journey. Both of
Right.
you together have
Right.
been there. So that's another very important thing, is about having the right peers
Right.
who actually help you know your own potential or pull you up, rather than comparing or
Correct.
feeling as a competition. So a healthy competition is good. Plus the inputs they give, the encouragement, the right peers, the right mindset people can give you is tremendous. And at ixamBee we try to do that, provide you a platform to meet the right minded people
Right.
who will support you always. So that's a great journey, as you mentioned, Chetan. So then you also mentioned that you chose iXamB because you found the content was
Right.
apt and it helped you. So if I ask you about phase two preparation specifically
Right.
for SEBI, after giving PFRDA, you would have had certain learnings. So,
Right.
despite having a degree in CA, despite having given PFRD and reached the interview stage, did you really devote time in SEBI preparation, or is it like you just walked in and gave the exam?
No, ma'am. That was never an option for me to walk in and give the exam, because I had been preparing. I was not into any job. I was full time preparing for these exams. And so just walking in and giving was not an option for me. So I was preparing very diligently. But once I gave PFRDA and the SEBI notification came and I had to prepare. But during the phase one, I solely focused on paper one because I knew that was my weak point. And yes, people say that you shouldn't overemphasize or underemphasize on paper one because it is just a cutoff. But again, it is upon your strengths and weaknesses. I personally, I have strength in my paper two. I know that I can at least secure that basic cutoff uh, given the PFRDA exam. So I put all my efforts in phase one. I gave a lot of mocks of sorry paper one. I gave a lot of mocks of paper one, quant, reasoning, English. Uh, so that was the my strategy, that I had to clear paper one cutoff, and I cleared it. I got just 38. And when I had the review for peers, they said that paper one was easy. To me, it was very difficult because
Yeah.
I didn't have that confidence in me to excel in that paper one part. But I'm happy that I could clear the cutoff. And after phase one, I straight away I just removed all the mental blocks that I had, that I have given PFRD or I've given about finance. I have had a lot of experience. I took a printout of the syllabus. I start from scratch, like literally
Okay.
from scratch. I took the paper, I took a marker, and I marked each and every topic that I had to complete. I didn't give any mocks for a lot amount of time during my phase two preparation because I wanted to cover the syllabus comprehensively. So I used a lot of sources. I used iXamB and I used a lot of other platforms like YouTube and Google search wherever I was having difficulty in understanding. So I that is one learning I would say, that no institute is perfect and no institute is capable of knowing your journey personally, because they are catering to a mass. So it is very important that you take responsibility for your success and failure. And if you're not able to understand something, and ma'am, as a student, I have been very engaging in classes. I have been very discussive in classes. If I don't know anything, I would put up a question. I would do everything I could to make my doubts clear. So that should be the approach, and you should be very interactive, so that it is your exam. At the end of the day, it is your journey. You have to answer to yourself. You have to be answerable to yourself, so that you can look in the mirror. Even if you are not able to clear, at least you can say that I did my best, this is what I could have done, and I couldn't have done anything else. So that regret shouldn't be there कि यार ये कर लेता तो हो जाता, वो कर लेता तो हो जाता, तो कर लो जो करना है. So that is what I did
That's
during my phase two.
very nice few points. I will summarize for some of the candidates watching. So one is it's very important to know our strengths and weaknesses, right?
Right.
Because every person is unique, and yes, there are some common strategies that are there for preparing for any various kind of exams. However, your own strategy will be unique to you, to your unique case, which you will have to adjust
Correct.
accordingly. Many people like Chetan are able to identify on their own and actually make that. Some people may find it difficult because it's not as easy as it sounds. Know your
Right.
strength, know your weakness. As simple as they may sound, there are a lot of people who actually find it difficult to identify that, right? And therefore, we all, that is where a mentor helps. That is
Right.
where, for those people, I'm not saying everybody may need it, but they may help you identify. They become your facilitator, so
Right.
as to push you in the right direction. And ultimately, like Chetan is mentioning, that is the truth. Any platform can give you the content, but it cannot put you
Right.
it in your head. For
Right.
that, you will have to study, right?
Correct.
So you will have to use that content, and you will
Correct.
have to push us, like Chetan very correctly said. I think in every class and almost every faculty at ixamBee would be knowing your name, because you were so interactive, and not just in my class, it was in every class, whether it was Shikha ma'am, whether it
Right.
was Dr. Sharma, whether it was Karan sir. In any class, you were always asking, you were clearing your doubts, which even pushed us to our limits to help you answer, because find answers, tell you answers, give you answers. And I'm sure many students who were listening to those sessions have also benefited from those discussions. So yes, as a platform, uh, uh, every platform gives best. It is, and we will try to help you unfold your potential by taking advantage of all the experience that we have had over the years
Correct.
after working in various organizations. So great, Chetan. I'll come to the next important point, that was about difficult and easy. Like you mentioned, paper one, everybody said was easy, but you found it
Right.
difficult. So
Right.
easy and difficulty also depends on the relative.
Right.
They are relative words actually. What
Right.
you know is easy. What you don't know is difficult,
Correct.
right? So we have to prepare it in a manner that we are able to find things easy as much as we can. So great. Let's move to the next aspect, the interview.
Right, ma'am.
Okay. So when we come to the interview, I'm sure you were elated when you saw your name in the list of students who qualified for the interview stage.
Right, ma'am.
So what was your preparation strategy for the interview?
So for interview, like Sushil sir had mentioned during his sessions, that it is very important to read the annual report and to understand the basic stuff. So people are trying to understand very hi-fi stuffs. They are trying to go into the security market regulations and stuff, but they don't know the preamble of SEBI. So again, that is basic stuff should be very much clear in terms of technicals and in terms of HR questions also, like why do you want to join SEBI? So there are a lot of aspirants. When I was there, I was there in a lot of Telegram groups, and they were asking questions like, what should be the best answer to why should I join SEBI? I mean, nobody else can give you this answer. It should be coming from within you. Why you should join SEBI, or what is the reason behind your gap years? It is very unique questions that only you can answer and nobody else can answer it for you. So you have to prepare on that lines, you have to prepare on those lines. And to my advantage, since I was a teacher, I had my presentation and communication skills to the mark, that I was confident enough that if asked a question and if I knew, I would be able to present myself in a way that they would think that, okay, this guy has a clarity of concept is there. So that was my advantage, since I had been doing public speaking in terms of teaching a lot of students. So that was one area which was advantageous to me. Plus, in terms of preparation, I used to maintain a notebook and I used to jot down the questions, the possible HR questions that could have been asked, and the answers to those questions, in terms of not the रटना नहीं है उन answers को, but it should be in a way that you remember the main pointers so that you can recollect them at the time of your interview if they are asked. Because होता क्या है कि मेरे इंटरव्यू में भी ऐसा हुआ कि I was asked straight away, the first question that I faced during my interview was, why did you take 7 long years to complete your CA? And that question itself was, I was not prepared for that question. I didn't prepare for it, and it came as a shocker to me. The confidence that I took, and mine was the first interview of the day, so it
Okay.
shook that confidence initially. But then again, to have that confidence again to, okay, ये आपको एक आंसर नहीं आ रहा है, आपको दो आंसर नहीं आ रहे हैं, you are getting blank, but you will not be blank in all the answers. So you should be very honest. And another preparation strategy that helped me in my interview was reading newspapers regularly. So it was not during just phase 2. After clearing phase 2, I started reading newspapers. I was reading newspapers. And when you start reading newspapers, initially you will feel a lot of things that you don't know, that you're not understanding stuff. But once you get in the habit of reading that newspaper, you will be able to follow up the various news that you are studying. And that will help you when the economy questions are asked, when the current affairs questions are asked, and even in your GA. So even in your descriptive English, it will help, because you will get a good vocabulary, plus you will get some content as well to write in the exam. So reading newspapers is another thing that I would recommend. Any newspaper you can read. I personally followed Economic Times for that matter.
That's very correct advice. Actually, reading newspaper is very important for any aspirant, and not even aspirant, otherwise also, because being updated about what is around happening around you is very crucial, very basic. I would suggest that everybody should, and it must be a must for any aspirant for any job. Uh, for that matter. And I would like to talk a little more about the HR aspect, Chetan,
Right.
because if I remember right, you did face a lot of HR related questions in
Right.
your actual
Right.
interview.
Right.
And this is something that I think we had a long discussion about in your mock interviews also,
Right.
because technical is something once you are aware, any student is aware that this is what we have to study. This is we need to know the preamble, we need to know the functions, we need to know the news, we need to
Right.
read the newspapers. This is something that can be taught and can be followed easily after listening to one person,
Right.
any person. Sushil Regressor gives very accurate advice in terms of what to read also, actually.
Right.
But when it comes to HR, this is something uh, we find very easy as such. Like, what will they ask about me? My profile, I have already told everything. So many students take it like that, and some students who do take it seriously, still like you, who took it seriously, still faced uh,
Right.
a
Right.
very unexpected kind of a question come your way.
Right.
So what would you suggest about and preparation for HR questions, and should or should not they be prepared for at all?
I guess definitely you should prepare yourself for the HR questions. They might seem very common, but if you ask out of the blue moon, it will be very difficult for someone to present it in front of the interviewer. That is the main problem. It is the presentation that matters. सबको पता है आपका journey. You feel it's so obvious that I have done this. It's so obvious, but no, it's not obvious. It is your story, and you need to narrate it in your own way. That is what they're looking at. सबका story almost एक जैसा ही होता है. It's just the way they narrate their story. That's what makes the difference, and it creates an impact also in the mind of the interviewer. So that is one thing. And I would like to add one more point over here, just to show my seriousness that I was only dedicated and worked to SEBI. I also did an NISM certification. So I did study about the various departments that SEBI has, and I came across Corporation Finance Department, which was in line with the NISM Series 9 Merchant Banking certification. So I did that certification to ensure that, okay, when I'm going in the interview, I can make that point, and that would be to my advantage. But to my surprise, when I mentioned that point to the interviewer, he counter questioned me. Okay, so if you have such deep knowledge about the subject, and if I ask you 2 3 questions, will you be able to answer? I said, sir, I'll try my best. I'll try my possible best. But then he said, why are you not confident about it? So, and he tried to back me down with that. And I said, sir, it is possible that I may not be able to recall some of the points that I have read. And he asked me 2 questions. I was not able to answer a single one of the 2 questions. Yeah. And I directly said, sir, I don't know, or I am not able to recall. So again, this I'm saying because when people are not able to answer questions during their interview, they feel that their interview is gone. It's not gone. It's okay to say no if you don't know an answer, instead of trying to beat in the bush and you trying to explain something. So it's better you just say no. And this learning I also had during my PFRD interview. As after interview, I remember I talked to you and I said that, ma'am, I wasn't able to answer a lot of questions because they went into too technical in terms of PFRD interview. But then again, when the scorecard came, I realized that I had scored the highest. So
Exactly.
it is not important that you have to give right answers to all the questions, but the questions that you are answering should be at least have conceptual clarity and should show that you are clear in your opinions and whatever they ask.
Exactly. So that's the very key point about interviews that keep repeating again and again, and you keep telling students also that interview is primarily not a test of your knowledge. It
Right.
is more a test of your attitude, your personality, and whether you are a good fit for that particular organization or not. So they're not trying to judge you or anything. They're just trying to see whether you fit into the organization's culture and requirements or not. So and that is what is being tested over there. And so not being able to answer few questions, technical questions, detailed questions, is absolutely fine. And as Chetan is giving his own example, he got the highest marks in interviews in PFRDA, and even here in SEBI he has got 12 marks out of 15 for interviews, which is a very very good score for in interviews. So not being able to answer technical questions, few of them, is not going to destroy your chances of selection because of that factor at least. So
Right.
that's very important. So great, such a detailed discussion, Chetan. And as I said, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And we've talked over the last 1 year multiple times through
Right.
your journey from starting from NABARD Finance till SEBI Grade A, and I'm so happy to see it culminate in you becoming a SEBI Grade A officer now, and that too, cherry on the cake is with a rank. Great.
Right, ma'am.
And
So one thing I would like to say before I end this, I would like to use this platform to, I haven't said this out loud, but I would like to share this now over here, that I used to do a lot of self-talk. And when but the PFRD exam gave me a lot of confidence, and after I cleared, मतलब SEBI जब मेरा हो गया था exam, I used to have a lot of self-talk, and I have given this interview with you a lot of times in my self-talk. So that is one thing. Another thing that I would say, that I used to visualize myself working in SEBI. That is one thing. And I used to visualize that I am all India rank 1. I used to say myself, I used to imagine in my LinkedIn profile that I have written it all India rank 1 SEBI grade A. I never say this because it is very, if you say this to someone, then they'll start mocking you or something of that sort. And even you're not that sure, but you just try to make yourself confident enough. I have done my best. Now I want this. Let the energies materialize. Do whatever you want to do, but I want this. So this is what I had asked for. I didn't expect this, but this is what I had asked for. I had asked for all India rank 1 in my SEBI exam, and I got all India rank 3. So again, that is one thing which I would say, that visualization techniques, I never used to believe, but I did practice this and I did culminate a result out of it.
that's very, very, very true, actually, Chetan. And great, you shared this actually openly today, because, and this is a proven thing. Till you aim high, you cannot achieve high. You have to aim high, you have to believe, and only that pushes you to your limits. And, as a person, as individuals, we also don't know what our limits are till we
Right.
actually test them. Sitting in our comfort zone will never give us the understanding of our own limits and even push ourselves towards them. So yes, there's a very, very important lesson, Chetan, you have given to everybody, and I will reiterate here. Aim high, you will achieve high. Push your limits, come out of your comfort zone. There's nothing that will stop you. So on that note, I will end this and thanks again, Chetan, for coming and sharing your story so candidly, so openly, so honestly. And as I said, I know it personally, so I know how much effort you have also put in this. And wishing you all the best, wishing you great career at SEBI, and that you always achieve what you aim for in life, from the entire team of ixamBee.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having
Thank
me.
you.